What's up guys, Houndish here, and today I wanted to talk about some Destiny 2 stuff. I wanted to take a look at a new location in the European Dead Zone, which is pretty interesting. On top of this, a new character. I also wanted to point out some very interesting new gear, including a crowned helmet, which is pretty awesome. I wanted to speak about the raid, some stuff that we learned about the raid, take a look at some new gear, and even talk about some PC stuff as well, so we should get into it. So firstly, I wanted to point out a new location, which is hidden inside of the European Dead Zone, which is pretty interesting. So in this gameplay right here, you can see that they're actually doing an adventure called Dark Alliance. There's some interesting dialogue between Cade and Ikora, and they head up to this kind of hidden section of the map over here, and there's actually a sort of taken teleporter, which is really bizarre. They head through the teleporter, and they actually end up in this separate area inside of the European Dead Zone, and as you can see, it's a very curious space filled with these kind of crooked trees. The entire kind of atmosphere is different, the lighting is very different in this space as well. Now in the mission, the players are actually hunting down this psionic source, which is power for a kind of strong Cabal enemy. Now we don't get too many details about what's going on in the story here, but what's really interesting is that it says end the Taken crisis, but they're actually fighting a Cabal boss, and exclusively they're fighting Cabal enemies. We can see all the kind of Taken blight around in this space, so mild spoiler alert, it looks possible that the Cabal are kind of channeling Taken energy, or have learned how to kind of harness it or control it to some degree. So it's really cool that there is this kind of extended separate space inside of the European Dead Zone, and it'll be interesting to see exactly what's going on with the story. In a Rolling Stone article, they actually referred to a Tolkien-esque haunted forest, which is pretty interesting. That could give us a bit of an idea as to what is going on, but during the article they gave some insights from Mark Noseworthy. So he says it's always valuable to play the content in the world. Everything you're doing in that destination is giving you these tokens, and you can bring them to the vendor in that location. The vendors have awesome gear. If I do all the things for Devrim in the European Dead Zone, then I can kind of look like that, and I think what it's referring to is the ability to kind of preview all of the possible gear at the vendor. Obviously Devrim K has a particular kind of aesthetic that goes along with the European Dead Zone gear as well. And the article says Devrim K is a grizzled ex-militarian devoted to taking back the European Dead Zone. You'll get to know him well in Destiny 2. Up next, I wanted to point out an interesting new character coming in Destiny 2, but on top of hearing Devrim, Hawthorne and the Ghost interacting in the European Dead Zone, we'll also hear from Failsafe a little bit, and a new character called Asher.
Ah, Assistant. You are just in time to join my Dimensional Anomaly Research Group.
Captain, hello. Asher Mir says that I will provide the computational support, and you will provide the brute force. He is very rude.
Let us begin with barbaric close combat against the Taken. It is a scientifically sound proposition and is in no way suspicious.
So there's actually a patrol mission right here where Asher has you and Failsafe kind of go around and collect research. So it appears that Asher is some kind of scientist. He seems to have quite a character, and it appears that he has an interest in these kind of enemy races, particularly what they're doing, and perhaps kind of ways to infiltrate them as well. Considering we're hearing Failsafe talk right here, Asher could be the kind of NPC character for Io, potentially, or could just be a character from another part or arc of the story, but I just wanted to point that out. We will have even more dialogue from a wide array of characters in Destiny 2. I wanted to point out a couple of interesting things about some gear right here. So in the gameplay in the Dark Forest, you can actually see a Warlock running around, another character, but they have this kind of helmet right there with these kind of crowned spikes around the side. Looks kind of Hive-like in a way, but we don't have the kind of best quality footage right here. One thing is for sure though, it is definitely a crown. I would bet that this is a new exotic helmet. I thought it was briefly worth mentioning because it looks pretty awesome. Also, we see the new Suros sidearm, so we saw this in one of the trailers for Destiny 2, and it is a full auto sidearm, pretty awesome looking weapon, and it also has this new Suros sidearm model there, which is pretty cool. I'm sure you didn't miss it, but I spoke about a new Trolls pulse rifle, but a lot of folks have pointed out some interesting stuff. So firstly, it does have a magazine of 50 rounds, primarily because it actually shoots in 5-round bursts, which is a first for weapons in Destiny 2. It also has a different icon for the weapon type right there. So it is a pulse rifle, and it has an icon similar to what we would have seen for Destiny 1 pulse rifles, but a lot of the basic pulse rifles, be them blues or legendaries in the game, actually have a slightly different icon, which suggests that this one could indeed be an exotic. Obviously, it's a very, very cool looking weapon, so it's going to be interesting to find out exactly what this thing is, but it looks pretty awesome. Up next, I wanted to point something out that's interesting about the raid. So with these trophies which were leaked just yesterday, one of them was actually to complete the Leviathan raid, and it was called Belly of the Beast. A lot of people are referring to the Leviathan almost like, you know, a creature or one of the Leviathans from Destiny's lore, which also are kind of linked to the 9. But there is something very interesting to point out. So I also pointed out this artwork right here when I spoke about this, and one of my followers on Twitter, Runel9, I believe that's how you say your name, actually pointed this out. So of course we saw the symbol on Luke Smith's hoodie right here, and it also appears on the raid symbol for the leaked achievement. They are indeed the same symbol. The one on the raid icon is just the other way around and doesn't have a circle around it. Now, if you look at the concept art once again, you can see that the kind of open shape on the front of the ship, presumably a ship, is indeed the same shape as the shape you see on the bottom of the icon on Luke Smith's hoodie, and it also appears that the ship is kind of consuming this giant orb, be it a kind of destroyed planet or whatever else it could be. And to me, it looks like the orb that is about to be kind of consumed by the ship, or the orb of light that you can actually see above the ship, represent the circle above the icon on Luke Smith's hoodie. You can essentially draw the same shape around those two particular things. So if I was going to place my bets on this, I'd say the symbol on Smith's hoodie actually refers directly to what we see in this concept art right here. Of course, it looks like a kind of giant spaceship, but if you look at some kind of classic pieces of art for Leviathans in general, some of them are depicted with these kind of giant open mouths which just kind of swoop through the sea. So I just thought that was really interesting to actually point out. The first time I looked at this image, even while talking about the raid, you know, that kind of shape didn't necessarily stand out to me. And this is just my opinion, but to me, you can undeniably draw that same icon, you know, over this piece of concept art. So I think it's really interesting, and I'd be curious to hear what you guys think. I personally think we will be kind of going aboard this huge ship. Whatever exactly it is not clear, but I'm sure we'll soon find out. Before I go, we have a little bit of information worth bearing in mind for the PC version of Destiny 2. Of course, it is hosted on Battle.net, but there's some information here about regions. So Blizzard regions are the player's selected environment through which they are accepting to play with others. Players may only be able to play with others who have selected the same region and cannot join the games or activities of players in other regions. The player's selected region will also limit who appears in-game, as well as a player's friends list and clan roster. When the player launches Destiny 2 from the Blizzard desktop app, they'll have the option to select their region. If you don't take action, then it will default to the region of the Blizzard account that you have. So I just thought that was worth pointing out. The game is kind of region bound, so I'm not entirely sure how that works. I'm not certain if they're saying, you know, if you're in the United Kingdom and you want to play with someone in the US, whether that will be possible or where you'll have to kind of match each other's region, you know, in one way or another. It's not entirely clear right now, but I will leave the support article with all of the information about this in the description box below. Of course, the PC beta begins this coming week, which is very, very exciting. Be interesting to get hands-on with the PC version of the game before release. So that is going to sum up this video, guys. It's been a bit of a long one, taking a look at some really interesting stuff, but I hope you have enjoyed it as always. If you have, a like and comment is very much appreciated below. If you record PC gameplay, I actually have a new promotion with Marilis Action. Some pretty awesome PC recording software. It can do screen capture, it can do game capture, you can even record, you know, external hardware like Elgatos with this thing. The awesome thing about it as well is it supports frame rates up to 120 FPS for recording, so if you want to do any kind of artistic or montage stuff, or just get very, very high quality PC recording, this is a super simple but super high quality way to do it. There is a giveaway that you can check out in the link below if this interests you. Otherwise though, I appreciate you guys watching as always. Whatever you do, I hope you have an awesome day.